What up? It's your boy Todd coming to you today to talk to you about a weird rejection that I got when I was out last night. So I feel like this will be good. Okay, so first of all, my vibe was off. I hadn't been feeling that well. I just went out to see some friends. I wasn't really, hitting on any girls, and I went to hit on these girls and it went no bueno, which is fine. Not a big deal. Okay. First reason I share that is it's normal. Even someone like me, as amazing as I am, it still happens to me too. I still have times where my vibe is a little off, or I'm not really that warmed up. So it's just hey, this is normal. This is a normal part of life. And there's not some James Bond superhero Superman version of men out there. We all have this, right? So that's just the first part of it is it's okay for your vibe to be off. Okay, so I actually think this is going to lead into a more interesting conversation about frames. So what happened was, and I'll walk you through really what happened really quick, and then we'll lead into the larger conversation of the more interesting part of it. Okay, so I turn to these girls, and I go, "Congratulations, we made it out." Normally, I am at home on my couch, and this is, just a conversational opener that I'll throw out every once in a while. It's not great game or whatever. It doesn't even matter. It's just something for me to say. Okay. So the girl's response is "Oh, this guy's hitting on us and this is his angle." And I did not like either of those frames. I did not like it. My system was I don't like this. I don't like the frame that I'm hitting on you, and I don't like the frame that this is my angle. And I'll share with you the reasons why I don't like either of those. This guy is hitting on me. It's I wasn't even really that attracted to these girls. It was just warming up, right? So to me, it kind of felt like a take from her. Oh, this guy's hitting on us, as in we're the prize and we're amazing, and this guy is whatever. And it's bro, I'm not even fucking attracted to you. Okay. And then the second part of the reason that I didn't like that frame is this is his angle, this is his in, this guy does this to get. Okay, so I didn't like either of those frames. At the same time, to steel man her position, there is truth. So these are the hardest frames that you'll come up against, is frames that they put you in a negative light, but there is a kernel of truth. Oh, this guy's hitting on us. It's in my reality, not really, but understandably for her reality, it's a guy coming up to her at a bar, right? So it presupposes these things. And then, oh, this is his angle, and there is some truth to that. This is a way that sometimes I start conversations, and that is quote unquote the angle. So my vibe was off, and so I basically just stared her down until she got weirded out, and then I felt weird because my vibe was just off. And then she was "Okay, I don't know what you're doing. We're gonna turn away from you now," which is whatever. That was a rejection. So anyways, that's me explaining the rejection. It's honestly not that big of a deal, but it leads into this bigger conversation that I think is very interesting, which is frames. So you're not always going to be able to be the first person to set the frame. People will say things, and that is out there in the ether, right? So let's just use this rejection, if you will, as a case study, right? So, oh, this guy is hitting on us. This is his angle. I didn't like that frame. I'm no to both of these. My system was ugh, okay? And really, it's probably her energy, and it's fine, and it's not that big of a deal. But you can never win, and this is what I think will make it interesting. You can never win a frame based off logic. You just can't. When someone sets a frame. If you try to compete or speak against that frame from logic, you're already qualifying yourself, like you've already lost, right? So if I'm like, oh, you're dumb, and you're like, no, I'm not. I like read, I do that. You're already in reaction to me, and you're qualifying yourself to me, and like socially, especially when you're out, that does not work. Okay, so this is why I want to make this video, because I think there's an interesting conversation to be had here about frames and how to handle frames that put you in a negative light, but also have a kernel of truth, because those are always the hardest ones. Okay, so let me chunk up to the strategy that will work. Okay, so it's never logic. It's never speaking against that. Okay, it's always playful. And it's always playing up that frame. Right. Okay. So let me give you an example of a better way to handle that. Okay. Let's say you go up to two girls, you're not even that attracted to them, and you're just kind of like starting the night, and you're trying to get social, and they give you this frame that you don't like. They say, oh, he's hitting on us. You're like, yes, you are the love of my life. And you get down on one knee, you're like, please, Sarah Beth, will you spend all of eternity? That is taking that frame and making it playful and blowing the frame out. And then you're like, okay, anyway, so, and then now you can pivot into something else, right? Let's take the other one. So, oh, this guy's hitting on us, or like, oh, that's this guy's angle, right? Like that's his angle. Okay. And what makes this frame difficult is like, yo, we all have an angle. We all have an approach. Every single human has a way that they start a conversation with other humans. It could be that you just see something and then you say it, see something, say something. It could be that you say hi. But like, there's a kernel of truth because we all have an angle. If she had used the word, and we're getting in the weeds here, but whatever, like that's what this is for. So if she'd used a word like, oh, that's this guy's approach, it would have been fine. That's this guy's angle. The word angle means that there's like some sort of take, right? And like, I don't like that. Like, I'm like, not here to do that, right? So there's some sort of take. Okay. So the correct way to have handled that, right? And the girl's like, oh, that's this guy's angle. And you're like, the correct way to handle it would be like, yes, I'm always sneaking through. So meticulous so that I can get in and get the pussy, the sex. Take, 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 take. Okay. That's playing into the frame that it's an angle and I'm there to take, and it's making it playful. And it's making it non-logical. You're like, I spend every night like a ninja in the shadows. Just trying to get the pussy. Where's the pussy? Maybe you think that's funny. Maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. Like, the way that you play with it is another more. The way that you play with it has to actually be funny for you, right? So like, if you just use a line to make it playful, but underneath you're like upset about it, it won't work, okay? But what makes it more interesting is there will be times when someone sets a frame, whatever it is, just whatever it is. They'll say something and they'll set a frame, and you won't like that frame. And so the best thing to do is to play with it, is to play into it. Like, if the girl's like, oh, you're another one of these guys, you're like, yes, I am this nondescript guy who is just meandering through life in just a sexual haze of take. Like, find a way to make the frame playful. So the takeaways from this rejection are, number one, it happens to me too. My vibe is sometimes off and I'm like not feeling good. I've like legitimately been sick, but like whatever. Like there will be times where like you just aren't, you know what I mean? The vibe isn't good, and that's okay. Like, it's a normal part of it. You don't necessarily have control over that, like as you're working on it. The second part is never competing on logic with a frame. And the third part is always taking it and making it playful and doing it from a space that is authentically funny for you and for your humor. Like, if you try to fake it, like the frame really does affect you that way and you don't like it and you're not, it won't really work. But like when you're out and someone sets a frame, your goal is play, 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 play. Play with it, have fun with it, embellish, get down on one knee, whatever the vibe is. Okay, so that's my super interesting story about a recent rejection that I had. It even happens to people as perfect as me. Hope this helps someone. I'll see you out or back in here.